Hi, everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to switch this background a little bit. Maybe you all can see, maybe you can't, behind the scenes of what's going on here. But thank you for joining us today. It is Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. We're starting the new year. I think this is the first live we're doing New Year, maybe the second, probably the first. Well, I want to thank you all for joining. We're going to talk about U.S. immigration, take your general questions about what's going on in the process. And if you need individual advice, you got to schedule a consultation. Just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. But we also give out 3 free video consultations, 15 minutes for those who tune in on the live show, like and subscribe, and just write in the comments consultation. And my wonderful assistant Katrina today will announce 3 people in 10 minutes and 20 minutes and 30 minutes to schedule free video consultation. So thank you all for joining. Chamila, Justin, thank you. Hello to you too. And we're getting a bigger crew coming, asking a lot of fun questions. Along with that, if you're interested in doing a marriage green card case, the fiance visa and the like, definitely download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And just for those who are watching in January in particular, we're doing this one special information monthly right now, just focusing on marriage cases and how to expedite it, how to make it go faster. And the first week of January is focused on the K3 visa. So stay tuned, catch the TikTok shorts, the Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube shorts, and on LinkedIn we have thorough articles. We're gonna have a full-on YouTube 10-15-minute video breaking down the whole K1 process. We're adding a K3 page to our website that details all their stuff. So if you're interested in that, definitely follow the JQK Law Firm across social media. We're going hard talking about K3 in the first week. Next week, we're going to talk about how to expedite when you're with USCIS, after that expediting when you're with the embassy, NBC system, and eventually how to expedite your paperwork on your end, how to make sure to do your best to prevent delays on your end by being thorough. So we're going to spend each week covering this stuff. I think it's going to be a fun thing. And then next month in February, we're going to have a focus on another topic, probably H-1B visa. In March, probably focus on citizenship. So every month we're going to focus, and each week of that month, we're going to pick a topic within that topic and subtopic and go. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's just immigration. It's one of those things that I can talk about all day and not get bored, as we've seen the last 2 years coming live every week and all the other videos that I do. So with that, let's all get it started. So our first question coming from Camila Justin. I was wondering, after a visa interview, how long it takes to get your passport back. So when someone goes to the embassy, they may take your green card at the time, or they might say, hold on to your passport. Or they might say, hold on to your passport because they haven't made their decision, or let you know, and that kind of stuff. But if they do take your passport, how long does it take to get back? There's no fixed time. Typically, it's a couple of days. But sometimes it takes much longer, and sometimes they'll just return it to you 2 weeks later without a visa stamp. So fortunately, with the embassy system, there's nothing reliable we could say. Most of the time, yeah, it's within a couple of days to a week, you'll get it back, you'll have the visa. But it's not always the case. And because I just deal with this all the time, I never go in with the conclusion that you're going to get us to be fine, because I've seen all sorts of things happen. But probably get back for a week. If you need to use the passport, you could contact them and say, hey, send it back. I need it for international travel. And when you want the passport back, Mr. and Mrs. U.S. Embassy staff member, consular officer, please let me know and I'll give it back to you. So that's just something to be mindful of. There's no fixed time, but it should, on average, it comes back within a few days to a week, but it could be longer. And it doesn't mean your case is going to be denied necessarily. I had a case in China. It took them like a month and a half to give the passport back. I was like, what's going on? And they gave it, no problem. It's like, why did it take that long? No answer. They don't have to tell us. And that's part of the frustration of when you're dealing with the consular system. It's just something that happens and you have no idea. But thank you for tuning in, Camila. I hope I answered your question. Dr. Alexis asks, are you Iranian? Just asking. Well, I'm American, but my family's from Iran. I'm Persian, Iranian. I'm not really sure the definitions perfectly fit within that. Iranian may mean if you're born in Iran, maybe. I'm not born in Iran, but I am Persian. I speak fluently as well. But yeah, that's that. Inked Up After Amber asks, after maximum time has passed, how long does it take to get an answer? There's no maximum time. And I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's just too general. But when it comes to immigration, typically there is no end date of when they take to answer. They can take however long they want. Because in immigration, you're asking for a benefit. You're asking for a favor to get something. There's no rights to anything in immigration. So it just depends on how long they want to take. Now, different cases have different timelines that are typical. I could maybe say averages like that, or usually we see like that. But there's no deadline for USCIS or the embassies, anybody to give something. So if you're referring to the previous question about the passport, they'll do whatever they want. So there's no fixed times. LinkedIn user asks, I was wondering how hard it is to apply for an E2 visa for Canadian to open a law firm in California. So it's not a question about hard or easy. You just got to do the work and hope you get an officer that's understanding. So the E2 visa is an investor visa. If you have the passport of certain countries, Canada is one of them, you could come to the United States and open up a business. And there's no minimum investment amount, but it could be whatever is needed to make sure that company is successful and will make money. And that's in the eye of the beholder at the end of the day, the officer approving your case. But as long as that business is operating, you're there dealing with it, you can stay in the United States and keep renewing the visa endlessly. There's no deadline. Now, you do need to invest the money, and there's paperwork involved. And at the end of the day, it depends on how well developed your case is, how well you answer the questions, and the paperwork looks for either USCIS or or maybe embassy officer at the consulate to approve it. So it really depends on your case, how prepared you are, and a large part of luck about the officer is going to review your case. But it is possible if you're going to open up a law firm in California, you just have to be able to explain stuff. I always tell clients, it's kind of like the show Shark Tank, one of these shows where people come in with a business idea and there's these investors and they have to sell it to them. It's very similar to that. You have to go to a consular officer and say, hey, this is my business. This is my background. I'm going to make a success and make money and help the U.S. economy and, take my life forward. And if the consular officer believes it, then you're approved. So if, for example, if you're going to do a law firm, you need to do some basic investment in what's needed in a law firm. It's better to get a location and make some investments in computers and chairs and that kind of stuff. Have a business plan. Be prepared to talk about how you're going to operate U.S. law or Canadian law, where you're barred and all this kind of stuff. And if they feel like you're going to make money off this law firm and be able to support yourself and in a significant way eventually grow the firm and make more money, hire people, there's a good shot of it happening. Now, one side note, because you said you're Canadian, Canada also has another visa called the TN visa. I think they're changing the name to MSC or something like that. I don't know what it is. Under Trump, they renegotiated the NAFTA treaty. But the TN NAFTA includes lawyers as a job position. So if you don't open your firm, but you get hired by a U.S. firm, it is possible to transfer and get a really quick work visa to come and work as a lawyer in the U.S., just like I could as an attorney. If I get hired by a Canadian company, go to Canada and work for a Canadian law firm pretty quickly through the border. It's a special treaty, as is Mexico as well. So there's that option if you don't want to invest and you want to practice law in the United States. There's all these kind of options available. But thank you for your question, LinkedIn user. Unfortunately, I have your name. Doesn't show it through this program, but I appreciate it. Sam Nah asks, hey, Mr. John, thank you for your time. You're welcome. God bless you. Is it required to do taxes as jointly married when I apply for N400 with a 3-year rule? And will it be questionable if I don't? 90-day rules before hitting 3-year experience. Okay, so there's two questions there. One is, do you have to file your taxes jointly? Well, let me back it up. So when you have a green card, typically you have to wait at least 5 years before you can apply for U.S. citizenship. But there's an exception where if you're married and have been living with a U.S. citizen for 3 years, you can file for 3 years instead of 5. So it's a good thing. You can do it faster. Now, technically, whether you're doing it based on the 5-year rule or the 3-year rule, they do allow you to submit the case 90 days before you hit the 5-year or the 3-year mark. However, you have to complete the physical presence requirement as needed, the full amount, before that time. So that's something to be mindful of. I have a really in-depth video about the timelines for U.S. citizenship based on the 5-year model. Check on YouTube, JQK Law citizenship timeline or citizenship time or something like that, and you'll find it. It's probably the best citizenship video out there, really in-depth explanation. So yeah, you should be fine. Some USCIS officer told one of my clients, don't file within 90 days. That client there's no reason there's nothing wrong with it. Just, you got to satisfy all the requirements. So I don't know your case, but that's with regards to, filing 90 days early, that's that. But with regard to not filing married, filing jointly, you don't have to do that. I mean, obviously, whatever is tax beneficial for yourself, do it. Now, don't file single, because that doesn't make sense because you're married. Some people do head of household. If that's appropriate, you could do that. Talk with an accountant to do your taxes as appropriate. However, when you do file in a 3-year format, you need to prove that you have been living and residing with your spouse. One way to do that, to add to it, is by submitting joint tax returns to say, hey, we're filing taxes together, so we're really a couple. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You might have lease agreements. You might have other documentation to show that you are a couple and you're living together. To satisfy it, tax is just a good way to do it. They like seeing that. But as long as you're filing your taxes properly, it's not mandatory. You kind of try to find backup ways to show that you've been doing couply kind of stuff and living together. And hopefully you have that. But it depends on the field office you're dealing with. Some are more strict than others. Some care more than others about what documents you have. It varies depending on which city you're in. So that's the best answer to that one I can give, Samna. I wish you the best in filing for citizenship. Ratasha asks, all my documents are approved and reviewed in September 20. When will I get an interview call? Well, I think when you're talking about all your documents being approved, you're dealing with the National Visa Center, the embassy system, consular processing, the Department of State, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, they're really backed up, so I don't have an answer. There is no answer. If you're waiting for an embassy appointment for an interview, they'll call you when they are ready to call you. And September 2020, that's a year, more than a year. The worst case I have is about that timeline. Is it the 20? Yeah, that. So it depends on which embassy you're dealing with. You could always try contacting the embassy and say, hey, what's going on? What's the delay? Maybe getting your congressperson involved. Maybe filing a lawsuit. All this kind of stuff's possible, but there's no answers been about when your interview is going to happen. Unfortunately, everything's just backed up in a bad way. But I wish you the best, and hopefully it happens sooner, Rita. I wish you the best. Camila says, thank you. You're welcome. Ink Dimer follows up. It's been 24 months. Immigration said that's the max timeline for my case times up tomorrow. There is no max timeline. I don't know what kind of case you have for approval or denial. I don't know. The only max thing is if you're filing for citizenship and it's been more than 120 days, you can file a lawsuit against the government for that delay. With regards to max timelines, if you're doing premium processing, that has a maximum timeline. These are just average timelines. If it's beyond that, you could contact them and complain. But Inktup, I don't know what kind of case you have, so I'm not sure what you're talking about exactly. One Garcia 8 asks, I want to file for citizenship, but I'm married, filing income tax as single. Well, I mean, why? I mean, first of all, you're losing money filing single, because usually if you're married and you file married filing jointly, you'll get a better tax status. So let's put that aside. But you shouldn't file single. There's different categories you can do if you're married. You're filing single. That's technically IRS fraud. I mean, you're doing something wrong. Now, they're not that strict on it, but they won't pay attention as much. But you're just doing it wrong. So go talk with an accountant. Fix up your paperwork so you can file your taxes appropriately. And with regard to citizenship, schedule a private consultation so we can talk about it. One note, Inked Up Amber, I want to mention that you're a raffle winner. Just take a screenshot of where you're watching this and email me at info@jqqlaw.com. And we'll talk privately for 15 minutes to see what's going on with your case. Again, take a screenshot so I know your screen name is you. Email it to me at info@jqqlaw.com. We could privately talk about what's going on in your case so I can figure out more detail, because over here, this kind of live chat's not working out well. It's better we just talk about it one-on-one. So for those just tuning in, we give away free video consultation raffles. So we have 2 more left. If you're watching and you want to talk privately with me 15 minutes by video, just like, subscribe, and no cost. And just write consultation in the comments. And my assistant, Katrina, my wonderful assistant, Katrina, will name somebody in 10 minutes, and in 20 minutes, and we'll set that up. And if you're interested in marriage visa, marriage green card, fiance visa, all that kind of stuff, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. With that, let's take some more questions. Yves asked, my I-485-based marriage with a U.S. citizen, 27 months, no scheduled interview, 5 service requests, no help, filed lawsuit. Do you think it deny my case for that? No, they can't deny your case for that. They have to interview you before they deny your case, unless you have some big mess up in your case or something like that, which I doubt. Sometimes it takes long. Let me give you an example. In February of 2020 or 2019, probably 2020, I think so, right before the public charge rule for Trump was going into effect, I filed 5 different marriage green card cases on the same day, very similar kind of cases. 2 of them got approved in 6 months. 2 of them got approved in a year. One of them took 2 years to get to the interview. And when we went to the interview, the officer said, I still don't have your file. And that's after we complained so many times that they did the interview. But they're like, we don't have your file. We can't make a decision because I don't have your file. It took them another month after the interview to finally approve the case. It was approved, nothing wrong. It's just, this is bureaucracy. There's a million cases, and every once in a while, something falls through the holes. There's a saying for that. Something falls through the loops or hoops. I don't know, whatever it is. But your case, unfortunately, probably is one of those. I don't know the details of it, so I can't speak to any issues I can spot or anything like that. But it's not abnormal for cases to just get out of control like that. It depends on how busy your office is, the local office that you're going to deal with, unfortunately. So that's the situation with that. Soares asks, I got my citizenship and my passport after 1 year waiting. Oh, God bless you. Thank you. Congratulations. Getting citizenship takes a while. Getting your passport right now with the delays takes a while too. So there's a lot of patience there. So glad you worked out. Congratulations on becoming a U.S. citizen. It's a lot of work, and now you get to live your life without having to deal with the immigration department. We may want to file for your parents, for your siblings, so there may be some more immigration stuff in your future. But at least for yourself, you're done. You passed the finish line. Source 3880. Congratulations. Dr. Leslie says, can you talk a little bit about NIW? So the NIW is called the National Interest Waiver. It's a green card petition, Form I-140, that says EB2C category, which says that this person's work is of such national importance that affects the United States as a whole, that we need this person to be able to come here and without going through the regular process called perm and typically, if you're going to get most work-based green cards, EB2 and EB3 category, you have to show that there are no American workers, U.S. workers that could do the job that you're asking, and you got to go through this process. But for NIW, they say this person is just in the national interest. We need to get him here. So you need to file for that. Typically, a lot of scientists and stuff like that do it. You base it on citations and science articles and the like. But it could be anybody. Frankly, you just got to show that you're doing something that's very important on the national level and be able to sell it and frankly and show it with facts and documentation so USCIS could approve it and then get you on the road to getting a green card. So that's the National Interest Waiver, EB2C, in a nutshell. But these things get much more complicated. Definitely consult with an attorney in private about your own case. Saeed asks, I have a 10-year green card after marriage base. Now we divorced after 8 years. I travel outside the U.S. I think I already have some more questions. Is there more questions, follow-up to that? We'll see. So, okay, 10-year green card. And, okay, we'll get the next question until we see the rest of Saeed's questions. 29 Super C, our great regular viewer. Hi, Attorney Kastrabi. Good to see you. Good night. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, too. Once one gets an immigrant visa, that's when they go to the embassy and their green card, their visa is approved to come to the U.S. to get a green card. Can they apply for the Social Security number outside the U.S., or can you apply in your home country for it? No, you got to come enter the United States for the green card to be issued, because as an immigrant visa holder, you still don't have a green card, so they can't issue a Social Security number. But you enter the U.S., your green card gets triggered once you enter, if you pay for the fee in particular. Then, I mean, even if you didn't pay for the fee yet, your entry on its own will trigger the green card. Your immigrant visa becomes a green card. But Social Security office won't issue it, no. So you got to enter and then follow up with Social Security office after 3 or 4 weeks, because there's some delays depending on which city you're going to. It's a little bit of a mess. But no, you can't do it without arriving in the United States first to trigger the production of your green card. Sai says, oh, hi, for the diversity visa appointment, KCC itself will give us an appointment, or will we need to make it? So they're changing up the KCC system. So I have to study what's going on. But what happens is you finish the paperwork, submit your DS-260, and your case is transferred to the U.S. Embassy. And the U.S. Embassy will contact you, or maybe through the KCC, to say, hey, let's do an appointment. If you're adjusting status in the United States, the local office, I mean, USCIS will send you an appointment interview. But if not, usually, and I can't say, because the thing about consular processing is it changes constantly, and every embassy does their things differently. But most of the time, the embassy will contact you with an appointment date. Sometimes they'll say, hey, go to this website and go to this calendar and schedule a time to come see us. It's not 100% consistent, but usually the embassy contacts you, or the National Visa Center contacts you, or in this case, KCC, to say, hey, your interviews. So it varies. But you just have to see what's going on, study your local embassy's procedures. There's a website for that. If you need help, just contact immigration or talk with them more about that. But it varies, but probably they'll contact you. But again, that's probably because this stuff's all over the place. Afsan asks, hi, my wife is a green card holder. She petitioned for me in 2019. I-130 is still actively under review by USCIS. Can I file for adjustment of status during the pending I-130? I don't know if you could do it, because I don't know your background, so I can't give you individual advice, but it is possible to file for adjustment of status if you maintain lawful status at the time of filing, don't have other violations and the like. It may be possible to file for adjustment of status, but there's more information I need to know before I could give you like that specific advice. But Afsan, you're the winner of our raffle lottery. You take a screenshot of where you're watching this so I can see your username is you, and email me at info@jqqlaw.com, and we'll schedule a private consultation to see what's going on, a 15-minute free video consultation. And just again, email me and we'll take it from there. Juan Garcia says, thanks for sharing your knowledge and time. You're welcome, Juan Garcia. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you for tuning in. And a really quick note for those just tuning in right now, we do give away free video consultations, no cost, 15 minutes. We got one more to give away in this show. So again, 10 minutes or so, my wonderful assistant Katrina will name somebody. What you got to do to enter is to like and subscribe wherever you're watching this. Subscribe to the show and like if you have a like button there. And then write consultation in the comments so we know that you like the consultation, and we'll name off the winner of the last one. All right, Marianne asks, I'm applying for my green card through my husband who got his green card from a previous marriage. So you got to be very careful about that. I gotta review it, but there are rules where if your husband marries you within 5 years of getting the previous green card, then potentially they're gonna have a tougher time believing this new marriage is real. So you definitely need to be prepared to be able to document the previous relationship. There's just a lot of stuff that happens because I don't want them to accuse your husband of marriage fraud. So you got to prepare for that previous case, even though it's already done, and the new case. Be safe. All right, CBS. Hi, John. How long does it take to receive the EAD after filing for I-765 for marriage-based, and how long does it take to get an interview? There are no correct answers to this because it varies dramatically. This person is asking, they started the green card process in the U.S. based on marriage. They applied for a work permit, the EAD with form I-765. We're seeing 6 to 10 months average. When will the interview happen? Maybe 3-4 months, maybe 2 years. We had a person watching and asked a question, but their case been pending for 2 years. So probably do 6 months, a year and a half on average, but it could be longer, it could be shorter for the interview. Someone else, there's a question, N9 in N400 as a citizenship application asking if I've been a member of any organization. Do they consider getting licensed from medical organization or airline membership to get points from Netflix? That I should say yes. I mean, it depends. They're really trying to catch people who are members of any military organizations or political organizations. That's the main thing. But that's up to you what you want to list, what you think is appropriate. I list medical organizations. Anything you're active with that has a movement, a meaning to it, has an influence in society. Obviously, Netflix or something that's just that's a purchase. Really, a membership when a person is active and potentially has some political connotations, some power in the world, this kind of stuff. Just putting it out there, but it's a case-by-case basis. So I need to know my client's background, see what's going on, what to list, what not to list. Sometimes we want to list stuff like if they're doctors, let them know, hey, this person's become a citizen. They're a doctor. They're not some random person. They're a person who's contributed to society. They work really hard to get where they are, and looks good too. So we want to put it. Why not? But it really depends on your personal background, and so I can't advise it to individual cases here. This is just general kind of stuff. All right, side follows up. The 10-year green card separated, filed taxes separately now. I'm an LPR more than 5 years. Can't apply for citizenship. I can't answer that question, Sally, whether you can apply or not. I need to have a private consultation to see what's going on with your case and if there's any problems with it. So it's not something I can answer over here. Samsa says, my husband got his 2-year green card in 2019. We will be married for 3 years. When can we apply for citizenship? Well, you got to first file for removal of conditions. I hope you did that in time because 2021 is done. That seems like when you should have filed. Maybe not. Maybe not. So I don't know. But first, you got to file removal of conditions. And then if you've been a citizen since he got his green card, around 2 years and 9 months or 90 days before the 3-year mark could possibly be the earliest time that you could file. I don't know the dates in your case and what's going on, how long your husband's been in the United States, all this kind of stuff. So just be mindful of that. But first, you got to file Form I-75 on removal of conditions. Make sure to do that. And if you've been a citizen for 3 years, and since he's been a green card holder, then the earliest is around 90 days before 3 years, if that's appropriate. All right, I've been talking really fast and yelling, so I got to kind of pace myself and calm it down. But the voice is giving away, so we got to only less than 10 minutes. So I'll try to keep it cool. Sam Nas, how does it work? Changing name on the N400, and when I get my name changed, thank you very much. So when you're filing for citizenship, it does include an aspect of the process where you can change your name legally. And we just put on the form, and then at the interview, you confirm you want your name changed. And then when you have your oath ceremony, they'll also change your name there, and you get a piece of paper for it. That's part of your naturalization certificate. However, not every USCIS office will do name changes because what the appropriate way to do it is have a judge present there to do it. Only a judge could do it. Now, there's offices like San Francisco who just don't do it like that. And during the pandemic, though, for some reason, a lot of offices started doing it with USCIS officers, even though it wasn't really legal, and they stopped that. And I had someone who actually asked a question here. She got angry because I couldn't answer her question because technically they're not supposed to do it if no judge is present. And during COVID pandemic shutdowns, semi-shutdowns, they were doing naturalization oath ceremonies without judges. So she's like, my friends are getting their name changed. I'm like, it's not appropriate. I don't know. She's like, well, you should know as a lawyer. I'm like, well, they're doing stuff wrong. And it turned out 6 months later, they sent a memo saying, yeah, we got to stop doing this because the court said stop it. So this just doesn't make any sense. So that's how it is. Sam, I don't know if you'll be able to change your name. I don't know what's going on with your local USCIS office, if they're down with it or not. You could always give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, just go the old-fashioned route, contact your local court, and just change your name there. Mariana says, applying for a green card, husband got his green card previous marriage. How much will they scrutinize the first marriage? I say how much is it? There's not a numerical thing. It's just you got to be prepared. I can't say it's a 5 or 10. It's just like it's enough where you got to be prepared for it. I would have a lawyer for sure in your kind of case. Just be mindful of things. Hopefully, a good lawyer. 29 said, okay, thank you for the answer, Attorney Kostravi. It makes sense. Hope 2020 will be a super year for you. I'll keep in touch with you. God bless you. Thank you so much, 29 Super C. It was good seeing you again, and congrats starting your life in the United States. Mujma says, hi, what should Afghan DV lottery winners do for an interview? U.S. Embassy, Afghanistan is closed. Yeah, you got to go to another embassy. They transfer the cases to Pakistan or something like that, wherever you're living at, and give it a shot. Frankly, they're probably not going to get approved because when you're from Afghanistan, Iran, a lot of these countries, you go into a thing called administrative processing in most cases where they say we have to do background checks. And the background checks take so long that the deadline for the DV lottery happens. And you lose out. So I'm not optimistic, but if you want to do it, you have to, I don't know what they're doing right now. I haven't handled this particular kind of case, but you got to contact them, work with them to change the embassy that you're going to be processing your case because there's no embassy in Kabul right now, and take it from there. SCF NYC says, on green card, does EDL loan cause any issues when applying for citizenship? It can. I have to see your loan documents, so I can't answer that. If you answer something incorrectly or fraudulently or stuff, yeah, I can. So that's about it. Naomi asks, what happens if you miss your biometrics appointment for citizenship? Historically, they'll just schedule another one. Recently, like a year or 9 months ago, they changed it where like if you miss it, we're going to potentially deny your application. But they'll usually just schedule a new interview. You need to call them and talk with them. It's better safe to explain why you missed it. All right, one note, the winner of our raffle is Marianne Pufftalk. So Marianne, if you're watching this, take a screenshot where you're watching it so you can email it to me so I can see it's really you, and that's your username. And just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. We'll schedule a no-cost 15-minute video consultation. And we only have a couple minutes left. Let's take a few more questions. I'm sorry we had a bunch of questions left, but hopefully we'll get to a lot of them. But that's just throat can't handle this much time talking like this. All right, next question. Naji asks, is it okay to transfer jobs immediately after getting the EB3 green card? Any consequence in the future? Different lawyers have different opinions on this. This is a case where a person got their green card through work, and as soon as they got their green card, they're changing that job. It has a lot to do about your background. For example, if you're on H-1B and you're working for that company for 10 years and then you got the green card and changed, well, you work there, retired, you get more money somewhere else. There's a good story there. But if you just flew in and immediately changed or you went through consular processing, you might be more skeptical. So some lawyers say wait 3 months, some say 6, 1 minute, a year. I don't make it mandatory. It just depends on the facts and how well you can argue it when you apply for citizenship to show that it wasn't, a green card fraud. It wasn't just a fake job or something like that. So it's very fact specific. I need to know more information about your job position, with your background. By the end of the day, it's not up to me. It's up to a USCIS officer. So I'm not as strict about this. I usually say, hey, you're not a slave here. If you need to change your job, you got a better job, better paying job, better, healthcare with it, better, extra stuff. Why not do it? But it depends on the facts and how much risk you want to take on. But I'm not that hardcore on it. Depends on the local officer you're dealing with too. Some officers are more strict than others. Kabulma says, I'm an Afghan parolee. Can I request a travel document to Canada? I'd have to work, and I have work authorization. We can always request parole. I mean, that's something that's available to any person who's not a green card citizen. But whether they're going to approve it or not, it depends. And I don't know enough about your case to be able to answer that. I have to do like deep analysis of how you got your parole, Afghan parole, and what your background is, if there's any national security stuff. So it's just too deep a question. It's not something I focus on, but everyone generally can apply for special, advanced parole to be able to travel and come back. But whether they're going to approve it or not, that's another story. But that's that. Chapman asks, how long do you have to reply to I-693? it's not a reply to an I-693. I-693 is a medical checkout form that you have to do, and you have to have it done by the time your green card interview happens. Or if they're not going to schedule an interview, they'll send you a piece of paper saying send it to us, and they'll give you a deadline on it. And so whatever the deadline is on that paper or the interview. Coeli asks, how long does it take to get a work permit through I-485 in Nebraska? Timeline varies. So we'll take 2 more questions, and that'll be it for today. Karen asks, I have a 2-year green card, which expires next year. My wife cheated on me, and I found out she gave birth to a child who's not mine. I'm sorry to hear that. I thought it was mine. What should I do now? I'm going to lose my green card. No, you can still keep your green card, but you have to file a waiver-based I-751. And so you got to do work. It's possible to keep your green card. Just got to do extra legal work. Definitely hire a lawyer and a local lawyer who would come with you to a potential interview. So wherever you are, it's better to be in your city so they can come with you to a future green card interview for your removal conditions. And Mario asks, do we need to bring the medical exam form filled with the personal information to the first page, or we have to just do it at an appointment? So they're talking about the medical checkup. When they go to the doctor, they need to pre-fill the form. Most doctors know you just fill it out with a doctor there. Some of them tell you to fill it out. It's kind of random. Just ask them when you're scheduling a time, would you like me to pre-fill some of it or not? Make sure you download the newest version of the form, or they'll say, no, we'll do it here. So it depends on how the doctor does it. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'll be back again next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, as always, to take your questions live. If you're interested in scheduling a private consultation, email me at info@jqklaw.com and briefly describe the immigration issue that you have, so I can know if it's the kind of case my office handles, and I could break down how much the consultation fee is. And if you're interested in learning about the fiance visa, the marriage visas, green cards, all that kind of stuff, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, the best green card guide out there for free, especially. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. I'm very proud of what's there. It's going to help you out a lot. marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Until next week, everyone, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all. Bye.